Alright, so spawning in the top right-hand corner as our teal Protoss, we have Dr. Stardust. And in the bottom left-hand corner as our green Zerg, we have Navane. No color options. The rest are all tier 2. Okay, so there was only one. Oh yeah, there's 4 tier 3s or something. Okay, so this is tier 2. Tier 2. Also, Tim, what MMR did you start CPL at? Did you just improve like a shit ton already? Because you're like 2K last I saw. That's pretty legit improvement. Like, because I thought the cutoff was like 1800, right? So like 1800 to 2K, that's a really nice jump to make in just like 5 or 6 weeks. Props. All right, so we got a probe going out here. We're gonna put down a pylon. Pylon. All right, so we're getting a pylon. And an overlord. Overlord. Now, what we see, a spawning pool. Looks like it. No, we're going to see a very early scout, though. So a 9 scout from Navane. Or something weird like a 9 hatch. Alright, so out pops our overlord. And a couple more drones. Got the forge going down here for Navane. And he is going to go ahead and 12 hatch. So I'm really surprised at this 9 scout. Especially like on a 2-player map. I mean, I guess he could be worried about cheese and wants to respond really fast, but for my money, I don't think you really need to scout quite that fast on a map like this. I mean, your overlord's going to get there and see everything. Really, the only thing you can see is just if it's a gateway or a forge here. Alright, so in comes Le Drone. And I'm just going to see that everything looks very, very, very normal. And I like this. Stardust, of course, has seen the spawning pool, seen that it's 12 hatch, knows he can go ahead and put down the Nexus first. So he's going to go ahead and do that, and then he should get his gateway, and then maybe a cannon. And everything looking good right now for both players. No deviations from the mean thus far. Oh, okay, well, that's a bit of a mistake. Okay, guys, so if you're wondering, you need to basically start your cannon right about when the pool finishes, more or less. So you can always make your hatchery, or you can always make your gateway before you make a cannon. So this cannon is needlessly slowing down his tech and everything else. So as an FYI, you can always get away with that if it's 12 hatch from Zerg. Spawning pool is done. How many lings are we going to make? I don't know what Navane is focusing on right now. This is quite a major... Three pairs? Okay, so he's going to make 3 pairs of lings. And a pretty major block right here from Navane. This is... Or I don't even, it's not even a block. It's like inattentiveness here. Oh, and he makes a drone, so his overlord is going to be... Wait, no, he hasn't made a drone. Or did he make a drone? He made another drone. Alright, so his overlord might not be late. He's got 6 lings out. Oh, he didn't make an overlord. Okay, so he's going to be supply blocking himself pretty bad here. So the opening execution for Navane is not 100%. And of course, Stardust, doing his build fine, just got a cannon sooner than he actually had to. He's got his cyber core down, though. Looks like a pretty good timing on that, so that's good to see. And a gas up here for Navane. He is brutally supply blocked. But neither of those... Oh, never mind. There's an overload. Okay, so only a modest supply block. But still, he's kind of just a little bit starting to handicap, hurt his economy a smidge. It looks like Stardust has a Zealot and a Pro blocking. Should have a second Zealot coming. Feels pretty comfortable with that single cannon up. And indeed, with that Zealot there, these lings shouldn't really be able to do anything. Questionable whether even try to run. We see a 4th hatchery going up here for Navane, so some 4-hatch lair play. And I'll be very curious to see where he takes this. Is this going to be into 4-hatch Hydra, or is he going to go for a little bit faster tech build, perhaps faster Lurker or something of that nature? We shall see. We see no gas at the natural, though. And, okay, we got a spotter pylon on the high ground here from Stardust, which I like. And we got our Stargate on the way. Pretty good timing on that. Looks like it was started about 4:20, 4:30. and getting the Citadel. Hydralisk Den is being made here from Navane, so now we're just curious about tech. Given he hasn't taken gas, I think he's intending to make primarily Hydras and play somewhat aggressive with those Hydras. And working on his +1 upgrade, Corsair about to come out. And let's see, Navane adding a few drones behind us. No Hydra upstart yet. Okay, so he is going to go straight to Lurker, so relatively fast Lurker play. He really needs the second gas, though. I mean, he hasn't even made Hydra yet, and he's only got like 150 gas. He just badly needs a second gas. So Navane kind of hurting himself in that way. He's not going to be able to do much with these fast Lurkers. So we'll see if that creates problems here for him in dealing with what looks to be a +1, maybe not a +1 speed bot timing. Is adding a second gateway. This Overlord about to go down. Still no second gas. He's only gonna be able to make like 1 or 2 Lurkers. Alright, and we have Zealots moving out across the map here. Overlord perhaps can see them if it is paying attention. But is it? Doesn't look like it right now, because that's a lot of drones and Overlords being made. Bit of a block again for Navane. Archives coming down here. I would really like to see him actually start speed. Oh, maybe Stardust is not coming across the map. Unbeknownst to him, he could actually do quite a bit of damage with those Zealots at this point in time. Alright, now those Zealots are coming across the map again, but there's nothing from Zerg to spot this. Is he going to start producing units, though? Okay, it looks like just by chance he is going to start producing some Hydras. And he has added at least a little bit of eco. He's close to 1 drone per patch at all 3 of his bases, which is not an insane Zerg eco, but it's a passable, a workable Zerg eco. Alright, so here come these Zealots coming in. I think there should be enough Hydra to defend this, especially with a few in the natural coming to link up. And of course the Zealots are slow left, so they're not as powerful as they would otherwise be. And yeah, it looks like Navane is going to quite quickly turn those Zealots around. But remember, these are slow Hydra without range, and of course he can't really make any Lurkers, which he's finding out now because he's only got 100 gas. It's just no way you're going to afford that amount of production. Let's see, going up to 5 gates, 6 gates. Yeah, putting 5 gates here. Got a 6 gate there. So adding to his gateway, actually going to go up to 7 gates of production here. And working on his Storm, probably has some Templar being made. Indeed, he does. Do with a couple more of those guys. And Navane is squeezing in a few more drones, adding creep colonies on both sides of these hatcheries. And we see still... Okay, well, only 1 Lurker has been made so far. He is now getting double gases, though. So at least he can make a few more Lurkers off of this. Maybe not an explosion of Lurkers, but a few more, to say the least. And looks like +2 on the way here for Navane, for Stardust. And he's got his leg speed done now. Now has he added his robo? No, oh, that's not good for him. So he is going to get immediately repulsed, and that's going to give Navane an opportunity to contain Stardust if Navane chooses to do so. Okay, so just 1 Templar with his army. That's not that dangerous, except for the fact these Hydra are slow. The Storm is probably going to be good. Actually, not that amazing with this Storm. And that Templar does go down. And there's more than enough Hydra, I think, to deal with these Zealots. However, these are slow Hydra, and they are being move commanded, so that's not the greatest. As the Zealots get a bunch of free hits off, and then the presence of Lurkers seems to scare the Zealots back across the bridge. And let's see how long it takes him to add a robo. Ah, he's got a robo going over there behind his minerals. And Navane moving out across the map. Of course, they're doing a bit of scouting here, just taking a look, presumably just taking a look at drone saturation, seeing how Zerg is teching some really fast, probably unnecessary defense here. It's another -2 drones for a Sunken and a Spore, kind of an anti-DT setup. And let's see, Navane now working his way towards the front of the base of Stardust. However, obs are about to be done, so he's kind of missed his window. Let's see, he's going to burrow this Lurker. Is he going to burrow these Lurkers? No, he's running back, which will actually give Stardust room to get out if he wants to. Storm goes down on a few of those Hydra out in front. And where are we, speaking of Hydras? We have at least one of the upgrades. I can't tell if we have both. Storm goes down from this Templar. Lurker will live by the skin of its teeth, though. Remember, traditionally, you need a Storm and then one hit from a Dragoon or a Zealot to kill Lurker. It's a pretty efficient way to break and contain if you're working on it, and it's not, and you're not horribly behind. If you're really behind, then you can do like a Storm on top of the Lurker, kill the Lurker, and the Zerg will just replenish the Lurkers like as fast as you have Storms. But if you're in a normal position like this, you can gradually chip away at the Lurker count using that tactic. Just Storm and then run a single Dragoon forward and pick off that Lurker. Alright, so Navane is holding his contain right now, and it looks like he wants to take another base. However, there's a DT up here, and that will be it for the drone. So at some point, these Overlords are going to need to mobilize. And actually, it looks like the Observer is out now, and Stardust wants to fight. Not ideal to have the Zealots in the front, but he is getting rid of those Lurkers pretty quickly, and it looks like he will pull back for half of a second here. Hopefully just collect his armies and then move right back out. Does not want to get too badly contained into his narrow choke point here. That would never go well, trying to break out of Lurkers from such a narrow area. Alright, so that Lurker egg looks like it's going to go down, and we can see Navane is doing a good job of spending his gas here. And now Protoss charging forward, picking off what remains of these Hydralisks. And that will clear out the front of Navane here, clear out Stardust's third base area. And he should be able to move across the map now and take a third base. And of course, he is at double supply, which is a pretty significant advantage. And just looking at that army composition, I mean, look at this. We've got just kind of a few Hydra, maybe a Lurker out from Navane, but not much else. Whereas Stardust has, you know, a control group and a half of stuff, and he's got 4 Templar in there, and he's got a control group from his natural that he should be able to bring to link up with his army. He is getting kind of supply blocked, should probably expand a little bit, but honestly, it's looking very good right now for Stardust, and will be looking amazing if he actually secures a third base. Hydra comes over here, along with an Overlord, actually 2 Hydra and a Ling, so that's going to finally chase the DT away. Navane will be able to expand to this base, but he needs to deal with this army here of Stardust coming across the map, and that might prove difficult. A well-controlled Protoss army here from Stardust can definitely kill what Navane has, especially considering there's only 2 Lurkers in that army. Very vulnerable army. And of course, still working off of just 4 hatches, so not the strongest macro position here for Navane either. Oh, but actually, Stardust has found a way over here to slip into the 4th base, and he is definitely going to go deny that base. And then let's see how Navane responds to this, sending some Lings at the back of the army. Will he get some snipes on these Templar? Is he going to notice these Lings and micro them? It seems like the answer to that is probably not, no. And a few of them being slowly bled out. One of these Templar may go down. Zerg Lurkers coming in from the other side. Where are the Obs? They're a little bit out of position to fight these Lurkers, but we can see that Stardust is bringing them back. He is kind of collecting his army now, and he is definitely going to bust right through here at the 4th base. Going to deny that, so no 4th base for Navane. And now at about triple supply, Stardust looks like he has this game pretty well under control. And he is starting that 3rd base. Again, no units being sent over there to defend. I would really prefer to see that rather than units back rallied here into the natural. Just becomes so exposed and vulnerable. At least until you have a decent number of cannons and the like up. So now we'll see if Stardust opts to press this advantage and just runs over Navane. I mean, if we look at what Navane has, Stardust 100% right now can just attack and kill Navane. There's literally not a Lurker on the field. There's only 2 Sunkens here. There's only 1 Sunken here in the exposed natural. I mean, Navane just has 0 way to survive this army. Although Stardust yet has not pulled the plug, is not gone for the attack. He is trying to double Nexus, but this one is going to have to be canceled, and he does cancel it. Also, annoyingly, his cannons are going to be canceled. And now he's got the Zealots over here that he needs to sort of keep the base alive, so to speak, and he's going to keep them positioned over there, and that will prove far too much for Navane, who has finally at least gotten out a few Lurkers, but still working on a very thin army size. His drone count is medium. Let's see, we have a transfer of probes here. We got a transfer of probes. We can actually see that one of the biggest issues here for Stardust is he just has not made many probes at all. I mean, look at that. Main mineral line is almost empty. Nat mineral line is not that healthy. And this one barely has one probe per patch, which is not particularly strong Protoss economy by any stretch of the imagination. So just continuing to work on that constant probing would be of huge value here for Stardust. And Navane, I feel like he's kind of been behind from his initial build. He didn't have that second gas. He wasn't able to establish a strong contain and crone behind it. And now he's dealing with a Protoss that's just grown a lot bigger than him. And there's not really a lot he can do against this. He doesn't have his hive tech. He doesn't have the greatest upgrades. In fact, he doesn't have any upgrades. Whereas Toss is 2-0. You know, it's just a position where Toss is a little too strong. So it looks like Protoss is going to try to go across the bridges maybe, but just clamping the high ground pod for the moment. And rallying a few more units across the map, and we're going to have a small counterattack here from Stardust, or perhaps I should say this is bigger than a small counterattack. It's like a moderate-sized counterattack. It's a solid base sniping group for no defilers. It's not enough to take on this Protoss army head-on. And Navane making an interesting decision to try to set up here on the high ground. You know, the principle, the positioning is good, but the army size is way too small for this to be worth it. And the Zealots is kind of effortlessly shredding over the Lings here, and then the Dragoon should punch through and more or less clean up everything else. He's reinforcing with lurkers. That is an unfortunate reinforcement, though. Those lurkers get absolutely destroyed. So Navane is unable to hold that high ground here against Stardust. And now let's see if Stardust is finally going to run him over. There's only, what, 2 lurkers here? Shy of him, basically, and rolling over what remains of this army. See, no probes over there, but perhaps this is the transfer. Nope. No transfer there, so 4th base being largely ignored. Archons being added into the composition. And Stardust just kind of sitting here on the high ground pod right now, just hanging out. Waiting to see what he's going to do next. I don't know why he doesn't want to kill Navane. He could just swing around from the top and just force reburrows everything and just easily run this over. He's just got way too many units, better upgrades. He's got a lot of Templar in the composition. In fact, he's got 3-0 right now. Zerg I don't even think has a carapace, which is really, really bad. And so I guess we're just waiting on Stardust to pull the trigger here. I mean, you know, short of just suiciding his obs and then leaving his army there, I don't see any way that he's not going to win this fight. And even if he suicided his obs, he would have enough storms that he should be able to just storm lurkers. But we shall see here. Although the fact that we're doing nothing at all. Alright, here we go. Maybe not. Maybe now we're going to launch the attack. Alright, so here comes the attack from Stardust. The one thing Navane has going for him is that Stardust is coming across the bridges, and that is a pretty difficult angle to attack from. Dragoons, unfortunately, getting in the front, getting picked off by the Lings. A storm goes down. You can see Obs have wonderful vision of those lurkers, but there are a lot of Lings here right now defending, and it looks like the Scourge are going to come in looking for that Obs. Will they get it? The Overlord is not there, so no. Forced to pull back, and Navane actually moving, or Stardust actually moving off the high ground pod, and we'll see if he then swings down to the top, trying to force Zerg to reposition at least a little bit, or if he's just going to try to brute force it at the front with his reinforcements. So he's actually got a boatload of Zealots he could bring across in terms of reinforcements. And now we're back to just chilling for a little bit. It's definitely added some Archons into his composition here. And let's see where he's going to go now. Is he going to go try to swing around from the top? Looks like that's what he's planning right now. Zerg might spot this, but actually probably not. And of course, Zerg is still without a 4th base, and this DT over here doing work. 14 kills, 15 kills, plenty of kills on that DT. And of course, keeping the base denied. Alright, so it looks like with another very, very large army, Stardust is going to move out, and this time perhaps he's going to... Oh, actually, no, he's just spotted this base. So he's going to go over here and kill this top base at 11 o'clock. And obviously, no way Navane's going to be able to get back in position in time to save that base. So that kill will go fairly easily for Navane. And here we go. Navane is going for it with a major engagement, but these lurkers are pretty much going down immediately, and that leaves only some links. Actually, really nice storms here by Stardust, and just a great army composition here. Good storms continuing to go down on these lurkers. The observers are not being scourged, and it looks like Stardust has more or less walked over Navane here, and will be taking this series up 1-0 here. I think Navane is just about out of units. He's got a few last lurkers to throw at this. He is trying to burrow across the bridges, but you know, he's been completely kept back on 3 bases. He's mined out at least one of them, and the other ones are looking thin. He doesn't have a whole lot of bank, and Stardust is happily mining away on 4 bases, looking wonderful. And he's actually just going to morph another Archon. And he's actually going to go ahead and take a 5th base as well. And we do finally have 1-1 from our Zerg player. No upgrade to 2-2 though, so still playing from a very disadvantageous position from an upgrade standpoint. And of course we got 3-1 for our Protoss, so we got at least two full more upgrades. And now Protoss is just trying to force his way across the bridges. Scourge coming in, can't get the obs. Ling's going down. I think there's what, 1 lurker left now, 2 lurkers left. And those are being softened up with good storms. Just needs to move the obs back here, and that last lurker should die. So there goes that one. And now there are no more lurkers left. A bunch of Archons here to punch through the Lings, Dragoons to rain down shots, and all Navane can do is say GG. So Stardust takes game number 1. So we'll be going into game number 2, where Navane has opted to play on Fighting Spirit. Yeah, no one. You're watching CPL games, so you know it's to be expected. It happens. It happens sometimes. Protoss just had a big army and was not ready to commit with that army. And I will be right back. I need food really bad. Back. Food. Alright, hopefully nothing crazy happened while I was gone. Wow, I left and the viewer count increased by like 4 viewers. So apparently the best way to get more viewers is just to leave and then just put "be right back" food, and everyone thinks about food and apparently likes to watch the stream. Alright, so let's see, what do we have going on here? We have overpool from our Zerg player, and we're getting a Forge as Protoss. Looks like he'll be able to position his gate right there. Not the fancy Zlot first style wall. Someone attack me, jeez, savage. So Probe is going to annoy the drone for a little bit, prevent that hatchery from going. Okay, doing good work. Drone needs to be careful. Oh no, Probe, you had that. Ah, Probe had it, but it got nervous. That drone is going to be forced to run away. Second drone being pulled down now. Let's see if Probe goes in for the assassination, if he's going to be a stone cold killer. No, the Lings are about to be out now. Oh, the Probe does slip in though. Oh, holy shit. No, please, dear God, no. Dear God, no. Jesus, no. No, this can't. No, please. Please, no. No. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Poor Navane. Poor Navane. Oh, wow. Oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts. No, he never. No, you killed your own nat, bro. You killed your own nat. You definitely killed your own nat. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Alright, well, those kind of things I guess happen. I'm guessing he. Actually, I don't know why the A click. Like, you can't right click your own buildings. You have to use A. I don't know why there was an A click made there. I don't know if he was like A and then clicking the probe and was missing, but that's a weird way to, like, usually I would just right click the probe. So that's interesting that that was able to happen in the first place. But all right, let's see if he can bounce back from that. Obviously down 300 minerals and a drone for his grievances there. And Protoss does get his Nexus up. And he is going to get his third hatch up, but again, his build is just very slowed down now. Stardust at a pretty decent supply advantage already. Not 2 or 3 like you might expect, but 10 plus. Is going to add a second cannon, which is interesting because he hasn't seen any of the lings being made. And it looks like Navane just slightly late on that. Or actually, it's not too bad. He doesn't actually have any larvae. Oh, he's got 1 larva. So just fractionally late on that Overlord there, trying to avoid that supply block. Let's see, are we going to get a Stargate? We're going to get a Stargate here from Stardust. Just a smidge slow. We can see that Corsair was done for a while. Usually you can get that down between maybe 410 and 430, depending on just what order you have to make your buildings in and how many corners you choose to cut. And let's see, drones just being made for Navane. And oh, do we have +1 here? That's been the standard we've seen today. No, we have a Citadel, but this time a Citadel without +1. Yeah, it's an eating cast. I haven't eaten anything since 8 AM today, which was a banana? A banana? Alright, so a few more drones. We got Lair on the way. And Corsair coming out. See, Citadel's about to finish. We have now started +1. So that won't really be in sync with leg speed if he does opt for a fast leg speed. He might also just throw down an Archives, given the way he's playing this. In fact, I'm kind of expecting him to do that. Otherwise, this speed lot is getting really late. And actually, 3 Zealots have headed over here towards this base and have killed off a couple pairs of Lings. Not much else. And oh, okay, so trips another Ling. He's a bit busy microing that Ling. So he's not put down his next tech structure. He's going to get a cannon there to shield that, and he's going to add a gateway. Still no leg speed, though, and these Zealots are continuing to do damage with this hatchery. And Navane is forced to make quite a few Lings here. Now, is this being reinforced? No, this is not being reinforced, so he should be able to eventually make enough Lings here to save the hatchery. Looks like the micro is working out fairly well from Stardust. Maybe a smidge towards over micro, but not too bad. Gets the Zealots in a good line and picking off those Lings. Now we get a few more here from Navane, trying to get the surround. He finally gets the surround, and that will finish off those Zealots. But again, that is a heavy cost to Navane, as he had to make a whole bunch of Lings there. That was another, 5-6 pairs of Lings that he had to make, which means 5 or 6 less drones. So economically, Stardust is just continuing to get ahead. The only weakness I've seen from Stardust is he does struggle a little bit with producing his probes, so his economy right now is quite a bit weaker than it otherwise should be. I think he could be at least 10 or 15 more supply ahead. He just doesn't really have a lot of probes at either of his bases right now. Main looks a little bit better, but definitely under-probed. And now we've got Corsairs just going to town on his Overlords. His Spire is done, but he's going to... Oh, it's going to be really tight. Does he get any Scourge out? Oh, he's got some Overlords in production, so that's good for him. He just gets the Scourge out, so that is nice for sure. But he's also dealing with Zealots here, attacking this base again. Probably these 2 drones are going to die, and Navane is taking heavy damage right now here from Stardust. Corsairs just all over those Overlords. I think those Scourge are about to finish. Okay, they're very, very, very close. So let's see if he gets those cloned out pretty quickly and can take out at least 2 of those Corsairs. Oh, he's got a bunch of Scourge now, but it looks like Stardust on top of it and will immediately pull away. And for now, the hatchery is alive. I don't know why he backed up. Why did he back away? A weird decision there from Navane to just run away. There wasn't really any units threatening. +1 is still not quite done. Speed is getting close, but now we're going to have about 5 gateways with which to reinforce. And did those Scourge die? No, I think they were all kept alive. It looks like Navane did turn them around. He made a boatload of Scourge, though. Kind of panic Scourge there. Like, oh my god, my Overlord died. I need Scourge! SS. Alright, we got a transfer of drones to this base, probably? Perhaps a little bit large of a transfer. Don't really need to take away less than 1 per patch. That's always going to be overkill. So just a slightly larger transfer than necessary. And we can just see now, of course, now that the game has had a little time to play out and additional damage by Stardust, we can see that Stardust is in, once again, an absolutely fantastic position here. It's going to be next to impossible for Navane to win, especially with this natural position like this. No Sunkens, no SimCity, which means that any attack Stardust is going to do with the natural is going to be ridiculously effective. I mean, there's going to be a few Hydras out, and possibly Stardust will lose his initial fight, especially if these Templars get sniped, but it's not going to be long before Stardust is just able to overrun Navane. Because even seeing this now, Navane is almost certainly just going to pump units, and that's going to continue to keep Navane's economy next to nothing. Actually, he's making a few drones right now, which is pretty ballsy. Yeah, so he's got to make something to deal with this, presumably. Let's see here. Okay, he's going to fly over the cannons. Alright. Okay, so we get actually 2 Corsairs, so that works out pretty good. But now we've got this army on the doorstep. Panic creeps going up, but I don't think it'll be fast enough. That's a questionable storm. It did kill the Hydra, but he also softened up his Zealots a hell of a lot, too. So now Zealots on top of the Sunken, so there just aren't a lot of units here from Navane. Corsairs being killed here. Overlords are unfortunately being turned away, and DT attacking the wrong targets, but that's kind of hard to do. Okay, so Overlord turns around. DT will probably get cleaned up, but now being sent to attack drones. But in the meantime, the natural is taking heavy fire. That's a pretty solid storm on those Hydras there. Definitely too much micro in too many locations. Like I said, I think this army will just barely eventually get cleaned up, but the amount of damage it's done to Navane is quite a bit. I mean, he's had his natural absolutely ransacked. He had to waste even more drones. That is a very fucking hidden Templar, unless you're watching the mini-map. But from just looking at your natural, that guy, that's so cute. Look at the thing. It's just like one horn. It's like a devil just poking a horn up out of the side of the refinery. So there's going to be a small reinforcement here from Stardust. Stardust getting a third behind this. He's now got 6 gateways, making out of all of them. And Navane really doesn't have money to afford much of anything right now. Certainly not in the quantities. And even if he tries to afford anything, he just has to spam units. And also notice the Hydras are slow, I think. He just has to spam units, which means that his economy is just, well, he's making drones. So if he does that, I mean, he can do that, but he's got no army. I mean, he's just making drones with no army. So it's basically like, in a sense, I kind of like that, though, from Navane. It's like, if he makes units, he's not going to be able to live, right? I mean, Protoss is just too far ahead. Like, he'll just make units and Protoss will still kill him. But if he makes drones and Protoss just gets really passive for whatever reason, then there's like a small chance Protoss give him a window, and then Navane could defend up and sort of get back into it. Although lacking a 4th base with Toss getting a 3rd base, that's still, you know, one hell of a ridiculous ask. Oh, apparently Navane is off racing. So that's a point in his favor. I don't feel like, you know, it's more understandable, some of these things then. Apparently technical difficulties. An influx of sudden girlfriends. Well, that can be a technical difficulty. Although you're not supposed to let that distract you from StarCraft, guys. Priorities. Priorities, right? Priorities. Alright, so here comes the giant army of Stardust. There are no units for Navane, and we can conclude that Navane is dead. Because it's absolutely impossible to ever kill this army with 4 Hydras. drones are pulled. It's a noble, valiant attempt at a defense, but those drones evaporate, and Protoss will take the series over Navane 2-0. Pretty commanding win, but hey, it's operates. You know, what can you expect? Navane gives it his best shot, and honestly, it wasn't that bad. Tighter builds, a few little adjustments here and there, a little more familiarity with Zerg, and those games go fine for him.